1 in 5 people are currently in a relationship with someone living a complete double life, and they have absolutely no idea. I was one of them, and the moment I found out, it didn't feel like a movie. It didn't feel dramatic. It felt like the floor dissolved beneath my feet, and I was just falling. No bottom, no walls, nothing to grab onto. Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you is going to change the way you see everything. So let me set the scene for you. It's a Tuesday, completely ordinary Tuesday. I'm sitting at my kitchen table with a cup of coffee that's gone cold because I forgot about it, which honestly was my entire life at that point. I was so consumed with managing his moods, anticipating his needs, walking on eggshells so thin they were basically invisible, that I couldn't even remember to drink my own coffee. And then my phone buzzes. It's a message from a number I don't recognize. And those 6 words changed my entire life. Do you know who he is? That was it. 6 words. And somehow, somewhere in my body, before I even responded, before I even took a breath, I already knew. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about narcissistic abuse. Your body knows the truth way before your mind is willing to accept it. Your gut has been screaming for months, maybe years. You've just been trained to ignore it. So today I'm walking you through exactly what happened, what I discovered, and, most importantly, the signs I missed that were there the whole time. Let's talk about who I thought he was first, because you need to understand the construction before you can understand the demolition. He was charming, not in a cheesy, over-the-top way, in a quiet, specific way that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. He remembered small details. The name of my 3rd grade teacher that I mentioned once, randomly, 6 months earlier. He'd bring it up later like a magic trick. Didn't you say your teacher was named Mrs. Patterson? And you'd think, wow, he really listens. He really sees me. That's not love. That's data collection. Narcissists are exceptional at building a dossier on you. Every vulnerability you share, every fear you whisper in the dark, it goes into a file. Not because they care, because information is leverage. And I handed him everything. I told him about my dad leaving when I was 9. I told him about the eating disorder I'd fought in college. I told him about the friend who betrayed me so badly I didn't trust anyone for 3 years afterward. And he used every single one of those things, later, like weapons. But in the beginning, he used them to mirror me, to become exactly what I needed. That's the illusion. That's the double life starting, not with another person, but with another identity. The man I fell in love with never actually existed. Here's where it gets uncomfortable, because I have to be honest with you. The signs were there. They were loud. I just had an explanation for every single one of them, because he'd trained me to. He'd be gone for hours with no explanation, and I'd ask where he was, and somehow, I'd end up apologizing to him by the end of the conversation. You know how that works, right? That's called DARVO. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. He was a master at it. I'd bring up something that genuinely scared me, something concrete, and within 4 minutes, he'd be the wounded one, and I'd be the monster for even questioning him. So I stopped questioning. I started explaining. He's stressed at work. He needs space. I'm being too sensitive. There was a second phone. I saw it once, sitting on the bathroom counter. He said it was a work phone. I believed him. Or, and this is the real truth, I chose to believe him, because the alternative was a reality I wasn't ready to survive yet. There were women commenting on his social media in ways that felt too familiar. He said they were old friends, I accepted it. Because dismantling the life you've built around someone, accepting that the person you chose, the person you restructured your entire identity around, is a lie, that's not just heartbreak. That's an identity crisis. And your brain will do almost anything to avoid that. Quick question. Are you still with me? Drop a comment below with your biggest takeaway so far. This helps YouTube show this video to more people like you. Back to that text message. Do you know who he is? I stared at it for probably 4 minutes without moving. Then I typed back, "What do you mean?" And it was a woman. She sent me a photo. And in that photo was my partner. At a restaurant I'd never been to, with a woman I'd never seen, and a child. A child that looked about 3 years old, with his exact eyes, his exact jawline. A child I had never, not once, heard mentioned in 3 years of what I thought was a relationship built on radical honesty. I remember the sound I made. It wasn't crying, it wasn't screaming. It was this low sound, like something structural had broken inside my chest. Because it's not just the betrayal, it's the recalculation. Your brain instantly starts running backward through every memory, every moment, every "I love you," and it's tagging all of them. Lie, 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 lie. 3 years of memories just corrupted, all of them. The trips we took, the future we planned, the night I held his hand in the hospital when his father was sick. Was any of it real? Was I just a prop in a performance? That's the specific psychological terror of discovering a narcissist's double life. It's not one betrayal, it's hundreds, retroactively, all at once. So what did he do when I confronted him? I need you to hear this, because if you've lived this, you're going to recognize every single beat. First, denial. Flat, calm, almost bored denial. That's not what it looks like. When I showed him the photo on my phone, he told me it was his cousin's child. That I was being paranoid, and that this, me confronting him, was exactly the kind of destructive behavior that had always been the problem in our relationship. Within 60 seconds of me discovering what felt like a second entire family, he had made it about my behavior. Then came the minimizing. It's complicated. You don't understand the situation. I was going to tell you. That last one. I was going to tell you. After 3 years, he was going to tell me. And the most terrifying part? For approximately 45 minutes, I almost believed him. That's how deep the conditioning goes. That's how thoroughly a narcissist can rewrite reality in real time, right in front of you, while you're holding the evidence in your hands. That's not a normal reaction to being caught. That's a pathology. And recognizing it as pathology, not as something you caused, not as something you could have fixed, that's where survival begins. Here's what I know now that I desperately wish I'd known then. Narcissists don't live double lives because they slipped up or made a mistake. They live double lives because compartmentalization is a core feature of how they operate. Each relationship, each supply source, exists in its own sealed container. You don't know about her. She doesn't know about you. Because if the containers ever touch, if the worlds ever collide, the whole performance collapses. And the performance is everything. The warning signs are specific. Unexplained gaps in time they can't account for. A level of phone privacy that feels less like personal space and more like classified information. Stories that have small inconsistencies they smooth over just a little too quickly. Them knowing details about places or things you've never discussed together. And the big one? You feel more alone inside the relationship than you ever did when you were actually alone. That loneliness isn't an accident, it's architecture. They keep you just isolated enough to stay dependent, just confused enough to stay compliant. If any of this is hitting close to home right now, if something in your chest just tightened, please don't ignore that. Your body has been trying to tell you the truth. It's time to start listening. If this video describes something you're living right now, or something you survived, I want you to drop a single word in the comments. Just one word that describes how you felt watching this. You don't have to explain anything. You don't owe anyone your story. But I want you to know you're not alone in that comment section, and you never were. Subscribe if you want more of this. Real conversations, no sugarcoating, no toxic positivity. Just truth. And share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because somewhere right now, someone is sitting at a kitchen table with cold coffee, and they need to know what I wish someone had told me.